Welcome, welcome.
I'm
You're welcome.
excited. Well, let's
It's
start.
gonna, it's gonna be fun, eh? I was. It's gonna be fun. So I was.
All right. Hello, everybody. It's so funny because I was actually thinking, um, when we're coming out with this project, right? We need support, especially with our loved ones, friends, family. And as as anybody that ventures out to open a business, they need the support from their community. And this project is no different, right? So it's expected, right? Everybody says, whatever you do, I support you. But when it comes to invest the time in, you get to see who really is in with you and who's not. And definitely one of my good friends is here with us today, which I'm really, really excited. I feel fully supported by him, and this is why I wanted to bring him in. He has a really good perspective in life, and he has a lot of knowledge, and I can't wait to share his knowledge with us. So I want to welcome my friend, Mr. Chino Albert. How you doing, Albert?
Hello, everybody. Jesus, thank you for having me here. Excited.
I don't remember the first time we crossed paths or the first time that we talk. I don't know about you, Chino.
So it's almost blurry because it's been a while. It's been like but I do remember just seeing each other every now and then. But I think it was through friends, like you mentioned. It was just through friends, like the friends are friends, and we're in the same group. And we get accustomed to see each other. Then we just that it grew organically.
And like I said, it's really funny because you met people in your life that they're meant to stay. Next thing you know, you don't know how it happened, but they become part of your life and they stay in your life. And
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly how good relationships are built. They start. You don't push each other into collectively become one or become in a partnership relationship. It kind of flows naturally, and I think that's the best relationships. I want you to introduce yourself to our audience.
Well, thank you, Jesus. So aside from being your friend, um, one of the things that and this has been recently, right? So I'm um, a life mentor, right, for many people. So it started off years ago without me even knowing, where folks would tend to just ask for an advice, right? And I see that I love to talk, so and I love to share and I love to connect with people. I love to connect with people in a very meaningful way that improves their lives. That's something that I love. I like to offer folks support to recognize patterns in their life and facilitate conscious changes, right? Especially if they're seeking alternatives to traditional methods, right? Because we all know that we have psychotherapy, psychologists, doctors that we could definitely we need to definitely seek. But if it's has not been working, or if it's something that you're just not comfortable, or economically speaking, you're not able to, then I offer that other option to folks in many aspects of life. So I just tell folks that I'm a life mentor for folks. Yeah, so I do that a lot. So I'm also starting off, like Jesus said about starting a business, your own business, your own persona. So I've been taking it slow, uh, and I love it. I love the journey. So yeah.
Yes, and like I said, like we said, we've been friends for so many years that we've been in this journey together. We started a podcast like a few years ago, and it's been a really good feeling growing up, um,
Spiritually. Yeah.
spiritually along with Chino. Um, we know each other in a deeper way than a lot of my friends, and I've seen his journey, I've seen his growth, and he has seen mine as well. So I decided not to call him best friend because it's more superficial, that term, in my opinion. We have a soul contract. And this is why our friendship started with that each other knowledge, because we were meant to be alongside in this journey, and I love it.
Yeah, you're right, and I agree with you because you've been a great teacher. You've been a great teacher, and you've been able to hang along along the many years, and that is very difficult to get with people. You very few people. I mean, I can count you with one hand, folks who are there uh, to grow with you. I think that one thing is just to be friends for 10 years and we just see each other on the weekends or on holidays, than to have a friend who does that and also is growing alongside with you. And both are feeding each other and uh, growing. So, yeah.
100%. Yes. So we're lucky to have found each other. All right. So are you ready to get into today's topic?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
So I want to start off with Chino. Why better communication matters. Not or why is this topic so important to speak about? Not only for yourself, but for everybody to be aware of.
So it sounds pretty cliche, right? Like communication and you communicate better. And there's something that people are missing. I think to me, this is a central topic in communication, is not communicating and also not understanding the other individual's values. You need to understand people's values and you need to understand your own values in order to be able to communicate. Because you can be a great communicator, but if you don't understand that aspect, you're going to get nowhere and you're going to get a lot of deception. And this is what I mean by values. You have to understand especially you have to start with yourself, I believe. What is it that I truly value, right? Because, I mean, I'll give you this example, and this is pretty just lack of better example. If I tell you, um, let's say that my value is children should not be punished or there should not be corporal punishment, right? At all for children, especially if it's violent, right? Let's use violent, right? Violent corporal punishment. It doesn't matter how many topics or even studies you bring to me, or how many people believe that you should use corporal punishment. Because my belief is that you should not, I will never agree with you. So you can communicate brilliantly about your topic, about how, it's important so kids can be disciplined, etc. I will never believe you. I will never agree with you. So that's a value. So I know that. So if let's say that we're in a relationship, right? In a romantic relationship, and I want a partner that doesn't do that, but then and then we have kids, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I already told you, I communicated with you, and I was so patient, I did everything, and you don't understand. Well, there's nothing to understand. The person that needs to understand is you. you didn't communicate well. You didn't communicate your values to me, and you didn't listen to my values to start off with, right? So now you have a family for as long as you have the kid growing, fighting each other, thinking that you don't have good communication. So that's the very important part that people miss is, yes, you have to have communication, but you have to understand each other's values, especially yourself. Romantic, friendship, relationships at work, with coworkers, with your boss, with the clerk at 7-Eleven, you know, even if it's a short relationship, is still a relationship, right? So I think that, there's two parts to it. The first one is, like I mentioned, understanding your values, and then the values of the person that you're gonna be in relationship with. So let's start with our own values, right? The question is, are you communicating well with yourself, right? Are you being aware, like you mentioned? You want to being self-aware of what are your values, you know? And this is an interesting topic because most I I feel that most people don't don't know their own values, right? And and that's where we should start. I think, you know, what kind of questions are you asking yourself about who you are and what you believe in, right? So I need to be realistic, right? Because all of us want a beautiful, castle and perfect partner and 2.5 kids and X amount of money. Uh, but do you have it yourself? I think that's the first question. The realistic question is, do you have it yourself to be asking for it? And it doesn't mean that if you don't have it, that you should not seek for it, right? But you have to start there. Be realistic. Okay, you know what? I'm realistic. I don't have a job that is going to give me uh, the 6-figure income, and I don't see myself. Maybe I see myself just staying in that job, right? I'm going to be realistic, right? I'm not tall with, you know, big blue eyes, and that's a real, being realistic. I live in whatever country, and I plan to stay here, or city. That's a reality. So, what are you able to offer that other person? Because that in itself, those are values. Because if I just want to keep my job, and it doesn't matter what job you can say, it was interesting because I saw a friend from middle school, like on the street, so we started talking and it was fun. And then in that, when we were like asking about other people, she said, "Oh, I have this, remember this guy? Yeah, well, he's a janitor." And so he was saying that he was very upset with himself, right? And then she was like, "No," she was supporting him. Like, "No, I mean, is this a good job? Is this like taking care of you? Are you okay?" And yes, it's paying my bills. Then you're fine. You don't need to be. So that when it was talking about it, it was like, okay, then that's our reality, right? It's fine. So it's accepting and knowing who you are, right? So, and he's fine there. He's cool with it, and you need to understand that, right? So then after you know yourself, like what you value, what's your reality, what you're willing to give up or not, or fight for, then you know yourself. And then the second part is asking those same questions that you want for your partner, right? And there's not necessarily specific questions, I would say, but because it depends on the friendship that you have, or the relationship that you have. Uh, for example, in a romantic relationship, I want kids, right? So that to me is a value, right? So then when I go out there, then I'm gonna ask if the person wants to have kids and is ready to have kids too. Imagine if I'm a 56, 17, 18-year old with another 18-year-old partner. Probably kids are not gonna be priority, or at least shouldn't be a priority at the beginning.
It depends on the culture, and also in our generation at 18, having kids, it was a must, especially being Latinos, Mexican, it was expected, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about alignment here, and that when you're inspired to do more than what you have to be aligned. You mentioned that, if you want to make six figures and what you have for yourself going on, are you able to, match that energy with somebody that makes that much money, right? And the thing is with alignment with energy, if you want more money, you have to be able to manage your money. I've met janitors that they're successful, that they have a big saving account, they own their own house, they drive the car that they want. And like I said, everything, money is energy, and you have to be aligned in order to get what you want. The position, career that you hold, it doesn't it's not like the full circle for you to get the things that you're inspired to. It's more the alignment and how much you're able to manage, especially with money. If you cannot manage $100 to your own benefit, this is why you don't have $1 million. Because the first thing that you need to know is how to manage that energy, which is translate to money.
Yeah, and it's true. Well, that's the other level. That's definitely the other level when you have to align yourself energetically. Like you're right, to be able to become or handle that energy, right? And even it's the same thing. I can wish for like a millionaire. Okay, but do you realize what that would mean, right? Your lifestyle, what you have to give up. If by having that other partner that probably is a millionaire, even if you're not, right? So and like you said, can you manage $100? Then regardless of your vocation or job, if you're not able to handle that, then you're not going to handle it, even if you have a seven figure job. So it's, yes, aligning, yeah, that energy. Like, okay, in terms of money, yes. In terms of uh, uh, if I want to raise kids, like, do I have the energy to be a great parent? The patience to be a great parent, right? That's also matching that energy. And to have a friend, okay, then what does it mean to have a friend, right? What do I value? And so that's why it's like looking at your values so that you can be realistic at what you can do. And yes, you can aspire for more, but then you have to align with that, and whatever it takes for that, then that's what you have to do, right? As well,
Yes.
if you go more spiritually speaking, like, you have to ask for it, and then you have to go through the trials and tribulations, right,
Yes.
to become that.
So, how does intuition play a role in recognizing when something's off, even if communication is fine?
Listen to your body. Listen to your body. So, am I happy? Now, do I feel oppressed? Do we have, like, what's because and then we've had these discussions before, like, well, happiness is not like, I'm crazy, I'm happy. It's really like I'm at peace. I'm at peace, and with my partner, with my friend, with myself. So if I'm at peace, then things are great. Even if in the relationship, if one person can be at peace and the other one could be in chaos, meaning like the other person is the one with the issue, whatever it is, right? So I would start off with, like, do I feel at peace? Do I feel my body? Do I feel at peace? And then from there, I'll know if the communication that is go, because I can be very quiet, but be able to respond to your needs, right? and my needs as a couple. And I don't need to communicate that up because that would be an action. Like, okay, we need we need to clean the house. I just clean the house. I don't need to be like, hey, have a big discussion about it, right? But yeah, start with feelings.
I love that you bring happiness because if I I want to believe I'm here for a reason, I want to spread the belief that happiness doesn't exist. Happiness is a product, that it was man made to sell you things, to control your mind. I think what the real happiness is finding peace with the life choices, with relationships that you have, with the job that you do, and whatever it is that you want in your life to a shift, and that will bring you that peacefulness. I think you find your happiness because unfortunately people label happiness next to a car, next to a house, next to the perfect relationship, the perfect family. And a lot of people in addiction, the question that they ask themselves, like, am I happy? I need to find happiness, and they're not able to find it because there's not such a thing. What we need to be striving for is the peace that you speak of, the peace that brings with life choices that you make in your life, in the everyday life.
Yeah, and it's again, it's going back to like getting to know yourself. Like, okay, who are you? Someone said like nobody's gonna come to help, like save you. Nobody. You have to do it yourself. And yes, you're gonna have angels coming in, or people, amazing people to help you, but ultimately you're the one who can help yourself. Nobody, nobody. So if we don't understand that, then there's always gonna be this void inside us, and we'll be unhappy, and sometimes in that process we will make others unhappy too.
At the beginning of the podcast, you mentioned that, better communication, that we have to have communication. It's kind of like overuse, right? So,
Uh-huh.
do you think when somebody says we need better communication is just a way to avoid uncomfortable truths?
All the time. I think that society is a master of covering their faces to the realities. That is, I see that everywhere, right? So when you become honest, you tend to get other people to be honest with you as well. And that is pretty much showing your full self the way you are, right? Without makeup, or without the makeup of making it perfect. It's just who you are, and then people will be honest. And in that truth, that's when you can really connect and actually grow, because then you'll know what are your needs. People will know what are your needs so that they can really help you, right? Or you can help yourself.
How can somebody get comfortable hearing the truth about themselves?
That's that's a big topic. So again, so my recommendation is when you start off communicating with yourself, because if you can't communicate and be honest with yourself, you will never be able to communicate and be honest with others. That's my take, right? So when you start to when you decide, okay, I'm going to start communicating or learning, because a lot of us didn't were not taught on how to communicate or be in touch with yourself, right, with ourselves. So I will start off with the most basic thing is, okay, what am I feeling? That's your true north star. What am I feeling? Am I feeling uncomfortable? Okay, then that's a key for you to go investigate, right? And at the beginning, communicating with yourself is going to be one of the most horrible things, most painful things you're going to experience because you're literally telling yourself that your realities. And that's painful. And that's painful, right? Like, for example, you could be like, okay, I've been a really, and you can be simple and, okay, I've been bad. But don't use those words to put down yourself. Rather, use those words to have some clarity of what's going on and then move up, you know? So like, okay, I've been bad. Okay, I've been wanting to, I don't know, go to the gym, something simple, you know? So what's my reality? What do I want? And can I go? Yes. Okay. And then, okay, feel the feeling. The number one thing is just feel the feeling. If it's uncomfortable, just confront it. Because the I think that the biggest problem is that we run away from our feelings. Right? Everybody runs away from their feelings. So if you run away, you'll never be able to address it. So when you confront that feeling, then you're like, okay, it hurts. You can cry, you can do whatever, but that feeling will not stay forever. I can guarantee you that. You can keep it there and unseen for the rest of your life. But if you start to address it, start to take care, you know, you're your own babysitter. You have to take care of your baby yourself. But what do we call it? The inner child, right? Ourselves. And address it. Okay, you're feeling bad about what you did. That's like, and then love yourself. I think, you know, Whitney Houston had the epitome, like the most important message to the world when she said, the greatest love of all is a love to yourself. And I forgot the song name. The greatest love of all is the love that you have for yourself. Because if you don't love yourself enough to lift you up when you're in your worst, then nobody else will. So you start there, addressing the issues, the emotions. Is going to be messy. That's fine. Don't worry. And then from there, it'll start to soften up and you'll be able to take more control of that situation. And then be realistic and accept your reality. Like, okay, I don't want to go to the gym. That's fine. And that is fine as well. But that shaming will stop. That auto shaming will stop. So you start there with feelings, confront them, feel them, and then your communication with yourself will start to improve. And then you'll be real, and then with others, it'll be much more easier to be real and confront others. Because I think that when you're communicating with someone and you feel like I don't want to talk about this topic because it might be touchy feely, like it's because you're feeling that. So you're feeling it and experiencing it. So then you don't do it. But when you start to feel comfortable with yourself, then it's easier to be comfortable, you know, and real with some other people. And they'll know that you're being authentic rather than aggressive and you know, not genuine.
I like how you're more gentle to yourself, because the way I started to feel comfortable with the truth is like, please don't react and analyze if whatever that person said applies to you or it doesn't. And then what am I feeling, like you said, right? I would suggest people do not react, because we're taught to react versus to comprehend or analyze. And when you react, you're already voiding that feeling or that truth or the self analyze, right? So I would say don't react, you know, see how you're feeling, like you suggest, and then take it from there. And if it doesn't apply to what people believe about yourself or what it's been said, then let that go. And with that letting go, it's also the feeling and the overthink about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One thing to have clear is that we can't change people. We can't change people, right? But because again, we need to understand their values, right? So I would add to what you mentioned, in that process of trying to think of what's going on and trying to stay collected. Because it's easy to say it, but to do it is so hard, right? For a lot of us. But the first thing, the key question again, I come back to it is, what are my values and what are their values? Again, what are my values and what are their values? Because if we put boundaries, right? The boundary would be like, okay, they yelled at me, right? Okay. They always yell. So number one is like, okay, I don't want anybody to yell at me. So the boundary is I can communicate that yelling makes me angry per se, but I can't say, please don't do that necessarily, right? Because, because we need to understand what are the values. Because it's interesting. I have a family member who is very loud. I have friends who are very loud, right? So I had one realization with one friend. So he's very loud and very outspoken, right? And when this friend is very outspoken, sometimes those comments are not some things that I value, right? Per se. But so my old Chino would be, don't do that, or this is so embarrassing, and shame, and be upset at that person, right? So one thing that I had to come to terms with is like, what are my values? Okay, my values are I don't need to yell, and my values are friendship and the well-being of the relationship. So that's my value, and I need to ask the question also: what are the values of the other person? I mean, if that person is known for yelling all the time, that's probably his value, his personality, right? His value. Like that person that yells is very outspoken. So then me telling that person don't yell is me going against the values, right? Of the other person. That I need to know that difference, because if I know that that's a value of that person to be very outspoken, then I'm always going to have an issue. So it's not a communication issue with that friend, rather it's a communication issue with me. Like, Albert, what you're upset is the things that the person says. Is not because they don't understand. It's because you don't understand that that's that's them. That's their nature. So you need to understand, Chino, that they're like that. So if you go and try to change them, that's not going to happen, and that's also rude that you want to force that upon the other person, right? But if it's an issue like, okay, you have to know the values, right? And we can have a different example, what can you communicate, where communication is the issue, or where the not understanding the values is an issue. You know, I I would start off with, again, the value system. What are my values and what are their values, and if what I want to communicate is gonna make me lose my temper or waste my time, or what I'm gonna communicate is actually gonna be effective. You know.
And I would agree that your value would be accepting people's the way they are.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because if we go in a higher frequency, the people that is loud, that means that they're lacking attention and they're seeking that attention outside themselves, right? And that's not
Mm-hmm.
a natural being. It's actually coming from, emptiness within their inner selves, right? So yeah, I think the value is that you wanna let people choose whatever they wanna be, and I think that's amazing. We actually spend a lot of our time trying to fix people. I call it like the Superman or like the hero syndrome, where we
Mm-hmm.
have to have an opinion. We have the need to change people, trying to heal them, and we spend a lot of our own energy that could be invested in ourselves, putting that into somebody else that may not ever get it, and probably they're not going to agree with you. So it's just a waste of energy and waste of time. Whoever wants an advice and they're willing to change, they're going to come to you. You don't have to go and look for them.
Yeah, and and then you mentioned, belief. When they say valid, we tend to. I've encountered myself confusing it with, oh, you have principles, right? We're not talking about value is something that you believe consciously or unconsciously to be true, right? So it doesn't, regardless of studies, regardless of whatever. It's like if you feel that that's how it is, that's a value. That's a belief system that you have. So whether it's because because a person has a void and they want to be loud, that's a value. Whether they know it or not, that doesn't matter. It's a value, right? So so those are the important things to have in mind as we go into ourselves and into discussions, communications with ourselves. Yes, but for that you have to have super big high consciousness, self introspection, getting to know well yourself so that you can now, with consciousness, choose what is best for yourself, right? So you can shift values and beliefs, that we call. That takes a lot of energy, guys. A lot, and I think that the majority of people can't get there. Or when they get to change, tends to be when they're in old age, when they're like, oh, shoot, when they self reflect. Oh, wow, so many years of doing that. Yeah, that didn't make, I wasted my time, right? So you don't have to get to that point where you're like 80 or you're in bedridden, right before dying to realize, to have introspection of why didn't I change, right? So yes, values do change, but that is something very personal, right? So, I have friends who like don't want kids. And I'm like, how can you not know? Okay, Albert, Chino is a value. It's a value belief. And they can change it in the future. That's fine. That is completely fine, right? So in having relationships, that's why I need to know what are my values so that, okay, and ask the other person, what are your values? And then eventually would be, the other part is actually testing the person in real life. I mean, are these values that they're speaking, because sometimes it's just like a facade to look good or to sound okay or to be pleasing. Now you have to test it in real life. Okay, are the values that the person actually communicated to me? Is he walking talking the talk or walk the talk? How do they say that? So, and then from there you make your own judgment or decision, right? Okay, this makes sense. I communicated that and it's not happening. So, do I step out or do I keep on fighting and trying to change the other person to make them believe or make them do what I believe is the right thing to do? When in reality, well, and that's it. That's not even speak about parents, child parent, or we can, but relationship with parents. Oh my God.
I love the fact that you are speaking about the healing journey, right? I think when you're ready to change your values, that's the highest peak of the journey, because that means that you complete the healing journey, and then you're able to evolve. And with that being said, that's not the end. Then you move on to life will bring you people into your life to make sure what you call your values align with your now self, not the who you are now. Because like life is gonna bring you people that will put you in a situation where you have to choose your old self or the present self that you acquired. And that's life. It's the way destiny or life test that you are completely aligned with the person you become and the values that you acquire throughout this exposure. It's exactly who you become. So I think it is really powerful. And going back to, talking about like stepping outside when somebody's too loud and you're trying to go back to your own self. Everybody has the power to decide if this person bring me peace or not. And you're in full power to cut people that doesn't align to what you want without, shaming them, without trying to change them, and also being graceful to yourself. You are entitled to say, this friendship, this relationship that doesn't align with me anymore, and it doesn't serve me a positive purpose. So I'm gonna let go of this person.
It's interesting. I think that the older we get, the easier it gets to cut off people. but
Yes.
but but it's well, I personally I see it from now. I'm like old, so I don't see. I'm very mindful about my time now, right? Like it has to be my values is that has to be meaningful. Uh, we it has to be mutual where we love each other. At whatever level, friendship. Like I said, even the store clerk, right? Is this meaningful to me? If it is, then I'll continue with it. If not, then I move on. I'm able to step out without, again, that's a very important, without shaming the other person. Uh, and you learn to be graceful eventually on how to do those things. Again, when you start, it's messy. When you start communicating with yourself and attending to your needs so that you are able to attend the needs of others is messy, and it's okay. It's okay, you know. But I guarantee you that if you don't start, you'll never know. You'll never have an advance. You'll never advance. So start off wherever you are. You know.
Yeah. So talking about, letting go of people, we all have stayed in a relationship longer than we should have because we think that communication is the issue. But then how can we get to the point where we can tell the difference between lack of communication and values not aligned?
Um, you have to be honest with yourself. That's the thing that it's so hard to confront it, right? In relationships and, at least personal relationships, when I was younger, I didn't know how to look at it, right? That, the other person's different and they have different values. So my way of, my belief was to think that, oh, if I communicate better, if I do better things, if I do better, but, you know, you, you know when you're unhappy. So again, we go to the feelings. Okay, I'm unhappy. Something feels bad. My chest, my throat. You know, I feel sad, low energy. That's number one thing, right? Something's wrong. Then the next step is ask yourself, like, why are you upset? Well, because they did this, right? And I know, I'm doing self introspection. I know they did something wrong. Okay, no, what they did without putting labels. Why it made you upset, and there's a lot of work because then you need to teach a person, or you need to teach ourselves how to analyze things. Because we can say, oh yeah, because they're mad, they're mean to me. It's like, well, that's a good start. But then what things are they that they're doing are affecting you because you don't share those values. and what things are because you just don't communicate. Let's say that, um, they don't clean the house, or they don't help you clean the house. Okay, it affects me a lot, right? But every time, and then this is gonna be a tough thing to accept, right? Everything that upsets you is a you problem, not your partner, not your friend, not your coworker, not even your boss. Everything that affects you, that upsets you, it's your issue, never the other person. Never, never. And that was a hard truth it took me years to accept. It took me a lot of years to accept, right? So, well, my boss is always doing this. Okay, you have free will. You can choose to leave that work. You don't need to be unhappy. No, but they have a responsibility. No, they don't. It's not your business. It's not. And if it was your business, fire them. Easy. Like, life is not complicated. We make it complicated, right? Same, and I understand with parents, right? For example, yeah, my dad, my mother, they always do this. They never did. Like, no, it's you. You were needy. You're needy and that's fine. You wanted to be treated a specific way, and that's fine. That's fine. But your free will is to say, okay, I was the one needing something. I wasn't the one needing the help, right? So I accept it, and I'm gonna allow my parents to be them because that's their beliefs, and they grew up that way. And I had special needs, and that's okay. I think that's why these conversations are awesome, because the goal is for us to enlighten folks, right? To expand their consciousness. I think that's my value, right? I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming that this is our shared value, right? So, in doing so, whether it is with ourselves, with our friends, little or a lot, we're achieving that goal, and I hope that these messages keep on, you know, changing people's lives. But yeah,
Sorry, I just had a press like somebody came right now and he needed my attention, sadness, and I was trying to communicate with him, but I was not able. But I told him to go away. That is not the good time. And sorry, I did not want to interrupt, but I needed a minute. I was trying to speak to him. He's a told give me a lot of sadness. I don't know. There's a lady that wants to connect with his dead son that I've been putting on hold because I don't give people the weekdays. That's for me to do my thing. So I think I think it was two because I think there were the two of them, but I was not able to communicate with them, and I didn't want to either. They have to respect my place, my space, my time. So sorry, I needed that minute. Ooh, but it was heavy. Even the house shook. Oh my god, that's crazy. Anyways, we're
so shake it
creating
off, shake it
something
off, shake
good.
it off.
Yeah, it was heavy. I love it. Thank you. But it's not the right time, right? I'm ready for you. Okay, let's move on. A lot of Latinos we grew up with telenovelas. It brainwashed us to believe that we have to work hard into the relationship because at the end we're gonna be married someone in a white dress in a white tuxedo and we're gonna be happy, and this is what we take into our lives, believing that a love relationship, it's a lot of work has to be done, and the cheating and misbehavior is acceptable because it's part of it. Take a step, take a minute, see how you understand relationship, because that's what you're actually going to create that relationship. Start believing that relationship doesn't require so much work. It doesn't require to hold on as much as you can, because there's a shiny stone at the end of the tunnel that is going to bring you that happiness. And understand that cheating should be like zero tolerance, and not just for yourself, for everybody. Because if nobody in this world forgives cheating, people that really care about you, they wouldn't do that. They would not risk doing that to you. And because there's people who allows themselves to get into a relationship when that person is already in another relationship. When we forgive cheating over and over again, we're actually telling that person that it's okay, that this is what we agree, and we always gonna forgive them for what they done, right? So start believing in the perfect relationship that you have, because at the end of the day, whatever you believe in is what you're gonna create for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever you believe in is whatever values you have, you're gonna get. You're gonna get it. So if your value is I'll accept to be stepped on, you're gonna get a lot of people stepping on you. Friends, the store clerk, I'm gonna go back to but everybody, even family members, your parents. So because that's your value. It's not,
100%.
again, it's not the other person being mean, it's you believing that it's okay for people to step on you. So it's what beliefs do I have? What am I communicating unconsciously to other people too? You know, to my partner, that it's okay, like you said, to be cheated on, that it's okay to keep it quiet. So yeah.
With that, everything that we spoke and all the information that we shared, are we meant to fix these dynamics, or are they signaling for us to walk away?
It's signaling for you. I think it's signaling ourselves to either walk away from ourselves or actually making a change. It's to us. That question is to ourselves, like to
I
our,
love that.
to ourselves. Like, okay, they're not communicating. Okay, do you want to communicate? Do you want to walk away from it, or do you want to keep up with it?
So let me be more specific. Right now, with this conscious that you acquired, Chino, is it worth fixing a relationship, or is it better to just walk away?
I think that we have three options, right? We technically there's three options that all bring peace, which is what we talked about. As long as you feel peace, then you're gonna be at a happy place and you're gonna be fine and good. There's no anxiety, nothing. So three options is okay. This person is not gonna. It looks like it's not gonna. They're not. They're not meeting my expectations, right? So I'm choosing not to be with them. That brings me peace. Might be heartbreaking, but it'll bring me peace because that's what I do not like. That's number one. You can also be okay with someone saying, well, two options, like I said. The other one is like, okay, you know what? Um, it brings me peace to wait a little bit, and I'm not gonna complain about the process. That's the thing. That's the thing. That's the number one thing. If you complain about the process, then you're kidding yourself. Because someone can be compassionate and be like, okay, I love you. I don't like this. I don't like this. I want to have kids, but I choose consciously to wait, and I'll be happy with it for right now. And they're not having kids, right? And bear and be accepting, like, okay, I'm at peace. I wish to have kids, but I don't have kids. I'm fine, right? that's
I
fine.
love that
But
you.
the
Oop.
and then the yeah, and then the last option, which is the irrational one, is trying to change the other person or waiting because you know they're gonna change, or you're hoping and building castles in the air. That is the problem. That is the problem because you're kidding yourself. You're not being realistic. Realistic is, I know that this cannot happen, but I'm gonna choose to wait. That is rational and conscious, and I'm at peace with it. But waiting to hopefully expect for them to change, that is the most irrational thing and the most harmful thing that you can do to yourself. So that's when I
Uh-huh.
would be like, okay, no, I need to change. I need to do something about it.
You know, one of my favorite songs from one of my favorite artists, she has a song saying that come back in a year, this is not the best time for me to be in a relationship with you. And I love giving people the power to decide for themselves. When you make a decision that says, I like you, I want to be with you, but I'm not the best version of myself that I can, you know, offer to you. So if you're willing to give me time to figure out myself, and then we can meet later on in life. And that power comes when you decide and choose for yourself, not because you want that person to wait for you, but that's what you need at this very moment, and you giving it to
Hmm.
yourself. Whatever the other person chooses, that's the power that they have. But when you choose yourself for what you need at the moment, that's the full power within yourself.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. As long as you're happy, at peace, and
Yes.
that's whatever decision that may be, right? And that's why we need to like almost respect other people. Like they're not changing, they're still drinking, or what. That is fine. Like I'm not saying that it might not be tragic or whatever, but I'm saying it's fine for them because that's in their beliefs and capacities. That's the best they can do,
I love that.
right? That's the best
Yes.
they can do. So then I need to be at peace with that, you know. And that's one of the hardest things because we really want to change the other person. We want, in our belief, is for them to be in a castle, so it's that you need to cut that off, and it's so hard. It's so hard.
Yes. And with that being said, I want more. We need to, do a part two. It's unlimited, information that we can give not to each other, but to people out there. There's a lot to dig in. We just talk about the surface of it. We can go more into
Yeah.
that.
Hmm.
There's a lot more to talk about, but we gotta cut it now. Thank you for your time. Thank you guys for watching us. We have more episodes coming up.
Pleasure. My pleasure. My pleasure. And yeah, anytime. These topics are so extensive that an hour is like not even funny. Like, yes. Oh my God. But
Yes,
happy to be here anytime.
good. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. You know, we got more coming up. See you episode.
Bye, bye, bye.
I
Thank you for watching. Follow me at JesusVilla.7 on all platforms.